Okay, so I have a floor plan, and originally I just used, um, oh, I could have, if I'm just doing 2D plan, I could use my 2D objects, 2D tools to create like a cabinet, just draw a double line polygon and use lines. But we're modeling this, so we're going to want to use the tools available in Vectorworks. So now we're actually going to place cabinets. So cabinets are in this little furniture and fixtures menu tool set. And I can see that there's custom cabinets, base cabinets, wall cabinets, utility cabinets, shelving units, and countertops. We'll focus on those ones right now. I can just select one and I can place it. Now, they do want to insert in a wall, and sometimes that is helpful and sometimes it is not. Right now, we'll just do it that way. So I've just placed a cabinet, and I'm just going to change my class. And I place this cabinet, and if I rotate into 3D view, I can see that it's an actual cabinet. So not only does in plan view does it give us the graphics that we want, but in 3D it does as well. Now in plan view, it's pretty simple. It shows the cabinet with the dash line and the countertop. So even right now, I can visually see that, I'm going to deselect it, there is two solid lines here, so that's representing the backsplash. So you're going to see the very back edge of that backsplash, and then you're going to see that thickness, right? It's graphically representing what you're seeing. So then you're also going to see here the edge of the countertop, and below that there's going to be an overhang. That countertop is going to overhang an inch, and that cabinet is then shown in a dashed line. Now, we want to be aware of what's going on there, because when we make all these modifications, it's going to actually be visible. So it's going to be visible in 2D view and in 3D view. So I will go again into 3D view. So here are my cabinets, and if I just do a quick render, I can see what's going on. So these are, I can see there also is the backsplash. These cabinets have 2 doors and 2 drawers per unit. So I can go up into my object info palette, and I can change the length of the cabinet. You can see how many settings there are just for one cabinet. And if I go into my base cabinet, there's this, like all our other tools, there's this base cabinet tool preferences. So if I click on that, I can specify all these settings beforehand. I can also, so we'll play, first of all, you're going to want to play with things because there's so many settings. And it's great because in 3D view, you can see what it's going to automatically make those changes visible. So for instance, I can change, let's change the length of this, say to a 3-foot cabinet, and it changes the length. I can change the height, but that's going to be our standard countertop height, or if we want higher or lower, depending, for say maybe doing an accessible one in some way. There's the depth, our thickness. Now surface mounting, this is we're going to start changing things to look differently. So we can surface mount our doors and our drawers. So for instance, this is surface mounted, or this is flush mounted, and this is surface. And then now that's just the type of mounting. We can also change the panel of the doors and the, so here's our drawer type. So we can choose slab or square, and that's gonna look like that. It's kind of hard to see. So actually, before I go any further, I am gonna give it a texture. so we can see it a bit better, because right now we can't see it. So I'm just going to select my cabinet. Up in my object info palette under the render menu, I'm going to specify a texture, and now I have this nice wood texture. You can sort of see it. Let's do dashed line. No, let's do. So that is what my cabinet looks like. So if you're wondering if it's hard to see kind of when it's rendered, you can choose a different rendering option. So up in the little tea kettle, I chose hidden line. So it definitely shows me a bit better what is going on here. So I can select this and go back to my shape menu. I can show the doors open in 3D. And I can see the shelf inside. Like, it has every part and piece of a cabinet. So sometimes though it has a counter already attached. Sometimes we're not actually gonna want the counter attached. So for instance, if I turn off this counter, then I have it's just the cabinet and no counter. And then I can go into my tools, furniture and fixtures tool set and select counter. And again, that's going to, I'm drawing my counter. I don't want this. So there is my counter on my cabinet. And I can change the length of that. So I can also create one solid piece and have that counter go over multiple cabinet units. Now with the counter setting also, we can specify a sink shape. Okay, so we have our cabinets, we have our countertop, and then we have our sink. If I just right now placed a sink on this counter, it's going to be placed in the right height, but it's not going to I'll just place it like that for now. So here's my sink, and now if I go over and view it, I can see what happens is it places it at the right height, but there's no opening for the counter, or in the counter for the sink. So what I need to do is I need to, so when it's visually, I can see that counter through the basins of the sink. So what I need to do is I need to select my counter, and I need to, because this is available in the counter settings, I can go to my sink shape and I can specify rectangular. Now it doesn't quite fit for right now, but I can change the sink width and sink depth. So I'll just make it really big right now. That's too big. But you can see you can change those settings, and my countertop isn't on top of my cabinet. So I'd want to make sure it fit first. Now with that as well, we can even go into our cabinet and we can specify what type of cabinet. So this type is standard, but there's also a sink front cabinet. So then that is actually makes it the way it would actually be. So there's type, sink front, we can do one, there's all these settings that we can make our cabinets into. So think about your kitchen. Obviously the interior designers are going to have a little bit more experience with this. BT, you can maybe pick their brains as well, but you're obviously going to have a sink front cabinet for where the sink is placed. You can play with the different configurations. So right now we're just trying to get it to graphically look how we want. Now with that, I'm gonna get rid of my sink for now, just because it's, or I could just make things correct. So let's do, oops. So we also want to add, you can add pulls for all your drawers and doors. So if I have this selected, I can go into the very bottom, there's door handles, and I can choose a type of pull. And I can see that visually shows up on my cabinet. So the biggest thing is you're going to want to pick a design style, and you're going to want to create that continuity within your model. So pick a pull and make sure, well, you could do things differently, but you're going to try and do some consistency. So I'm doing, so there's my drawer pull. I can also specify a different class for each of the parts. So there's the cabinets, the doors, the kick, the counter. So then if I'm specifying a different class, I can give it different attributes or different textures. Because and right now, for instance, if the counter is attached, you're not going to want to have it as the same texture. So for now, I will just put a texture on it. Right now, if I just apply a texture to the whole unit, it's going to have a countertop that's the same texture as the cabinet. But there is, so play around. I'll come around and answer any questions and give that all a try. There's going to be the base cabinets, and then above that is also going to be the wall cabinets. They have set heights, so they're going to be placed accordingly. Any questions at this moment?